Okay, it looks like we're live.
We did it.
Hello, everyone. Hey, Catherine.
Hi. Hi. Anyone watching this?
Well, there are people who watch it live, and then we have people who absolutely watch it later, and then we get comments. That's what's great about doing it through, Facebook, and we're also live on YouTube. And it just gives us the opportunity to share the information beyond our small network, but out to the world. So I'm excited about that. So welcome, everybody, to our 2023 edition of the Women's International Film Festival. It's a little different than the past, but we've had a little different, I guess that might be a nice way of saying, couple of years worldwide, and we have all been making adjustments and figuring out new and different ways to produce and continue to live a life of doing things that we love. And I know that it's been an amazing number of past few years in terms of filmmakers and what they've had to do to get their projects done. With all of the protocols that had to be put in place, some things got stopped and people found ways, just through that tenacity to continue to create and to do what they love to do. So I'm saying kudos to all those people, not just the filmmakers, but people in the world who have continued to push forward towards their passions. So I wanted to just welcome everybody to the Paige is trying to come in. I'll see if I can do that and talk to you at the same time. Another filmmaker is supposed to be joining us, and I just got a message that she's looking for a link. I'm going to see if I can do that while I am with you here today, as my assistant just had to run out. So let me see if I can do that. But Paige, I wanted to invite and thank Catherine for being here and for being part of this year's film festival with her amazing short called Sand Mama. So Catherine, you're here and tell me where in the world you are.
Well, right now I'm in Lisbon, Portugal, where we're currently living.
Excellent.
I'm coming, making this bringing the international to the
really international. And that's what I have found has been the advantage, right? Because I'm always looking for a silver lining, but the advantage of being able to do this online program is that people who otherwise wouldn't have been able to attend, otherwise wouldn't have been able to see the films, and otherwise are on the other side of the ocean, are able to participate in one way, shape, or form, including our filmmakers. So thank goodness for technology, and thank goodness that we're able to do this. So welcome to WIFF from all the way in Portugal, in Lisbon. So tell us a little bit about yourself, and then tell us about the film for the people who haven't seen it yet. And in the meanwhile, I am listening to you, but I'm going to see if I can get Catherine to jump in, because she's having issues with the link. But please tell everybody about yourself and tell them about your film.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. And maybe she needs to download Chrome. Maybe that's the magic.
Okay, I'll put that in the notes.
That's what I had to do. Okay, well, I'm Catherine Lurkey. I actually go by Cat, so you can call me Cat if you want. And I am a physician turned screenwriter / filmmaker, writer, director. So I tend to write a lot about women who are doctors and scientists who need to get in touch with their feelings. That's sort of like my brand. Or I write about people who hate feeling feelings, learning to feel things, which is thematically, Sand Mama is actually it's about being ambivalent, about being a mother, which is something that I think it was only when I became a mother I realized I hadn't seen that much of. And she basically is sort of having this identity crisis that you don't really see on screen. You just see how motherhood is literally and figuratively consuming her. And she makes this kind of unusual choice on a beach. And I'm saying that obliquely because I want everyone who didn't watch it to watch it on. You can do until the 31st, and then you will see what this unusual choice is without spoilers.
Yes,
but
without giving it away. Yes.
Yes, but it's basically about how, for I think many women and people who have children, it's really all consuming. It was all consuming in a way that I was personally not ready for. And basically I wrote it when my child was really young. And because of COVID, you've talked a bit about the struggle to bring films and art to fruition. And, you know, basically I was in post actually when the lockdown happened, which theoretically should have been, oh, hey, we're so lucky we're not in production. It should be easy to do, but I didn't have childcare. It was just still really hard to finish the film during that time. So now I'm in a different place, and that experience has evolved. But when I wrote it, I was like, oh my God, I'm like being buried by this experience.
Yeah. I think, you know what it is part of it is that we are told how we are supposed to feel.
Yeah.
We are told that we're supposed to be so delighted because we're moms, and
it's so magical. Yeah,
it's so magical, and we're naturally just feeling all these warm feelings, and all of that. And you know, obviously, when your body goes through, oh, Paige, she found us. I was just sending you a text that I was trying to find the link for you. Okay, good. Let me just bring her up as well. So good. Okay, let me see. There she is. Hi, Paige. Okay, let's see. I'm not hearing you. Can you say a few words?
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Okay, good. No, I just want to make sure.
I'm scrambling to find the right link, and I found it.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
I'm glad you did. I saw your message, and I announced to everybody that we're waiting for Paige, and she can't find the link, and we're trying to do that. So now I can put that. So we were just talking a little bit about Catherine's film called Sand Mama, and welcome, Paige. We're going to bring you in a little bit. And one of the things that we're talking about, without giving the movie away, Catherine I was just asking to describe the film to a certain extent so that people who may have not watched it could, you know, kind of understand. And she was mentioning just kind of this feeling when we're first mothers. And I was just saying that society tells us that we're supposed to feel so wonderful and warm fuzzy, and we're mothers, and you know, and sometimes the feelings may be different than that, right? Because, you know, as I said, your body has just gone through this major change. And we all know that hormones have kicked in over the last, 9 months that could, that affect each person differently. And so when you say that your brand, or that you are about looking at people who may not be in touch with their feelings a lot. So you were referring to scientists and doctors and things like that. Is that because they're supposed to be analytical?
Well, yeah, I think I came very late to creative writing, and so I was a physician, and it is, first of all, you are, I think, trained to think analytically, and that's part of it. But I think also just to survive, especially in the US, just to survive the situation, you really cannot be like you can't be open to all of it. So I think, of course, it's not everyone. You can't generalize about a group of people, but like certainly for myself, I did not like a feeling. And I lost my mom when I was pretty young, and I was like, no thanks to those feelings. And so I found lots of ways not to feel them, and actually, like books, writing of all kinds. But I'm a fiction fan across the board. But books, television, film, really were the ways in which I could. I don't know if it was like a safety thing or what, but I would watch like Terms of Endearment or something and just like sob my brains out and be like, oh yeah, I felt my feelings. And so as I moved into creating my own work, for me, it's really about that. Like, I just want to feel something when I'm watching or reading. That's sort of what I'm looking for. And that's what I want to create, like whatever it is, a feeling. And I think, forgetting the doctors and scientists piece of it, although I do like writing women who are doing those things just because I want more of that on the screen too. But just want to be clear, there's plenty of very emotional doctors and scientists out there. Like, we don't have to completely stereotype them. But I just think it's hard to feel generally in 2023. We're given so many ways check out. So my goal is to kind of like reconnect with the more emotional and feeling side of things. So
Yeah. I think that when you said that, watching Terms of Endearment again, I think that it definitely is a way to release, right? Because, I can't imagine being a doctor with all that you see every day, and all that, and to be able to hold that in. And I'm going to say hold it in because you have to find a place for it. And so I think, I could imagine that I would do that too. I'd probably, yeah, a couple times a week, I put on some sort of thing that's going to let me cry, knowing that crying is not necessarily because of this one, sappy movie or this one romantic, love story, but it's because of all that has happened. And you know what? If that's okay, right? Because it's a coping mechanism, and we all need ways to cope because things are coming at us all the time, and especially as you said, over these past few years, I think that's how we introduced our afternoon session here. Just we've all been through a lot these past few years, and the fact that you guys have been able to finish your projects despite of it, and that you're able to, we're able to be here as creatives, as women, supporting each other, I think is a wonderful thing. And and if it takes a good novel or rom-com or something like that to help us release, then let's do that. It's funny, I was speaking to somebody the other day, and we were just talking about what is this new normal and how certain things have changed, and she said, there's still a lot going on in the world, and I think like it's just that, so it wasn't just the pandemic, but so many things happened during the pandemic as well. And so it's just from in the United States, what happened with the elections, and just all kind of stuff. It was like back to back to back to back. And so, above and beyond what you do, I think it's really important, Catherine, that you focus on that for just for all of us to be able to understand the importance of releasing. So yeah, so thank you for your work. And Paige, welcome.
Thank you so much. I was just listening to, I have 2 kids, so I totally relate to what you guys were talking about. It was not an easy transition, takes a minute. People don't
Yeah.
tell you. Yeah.
Were you, I guess, when lockdown and everything, that you were home with the kids?
Oh, yeah. Well, that was really what was the impetus for my short documentary for Powers, because I have teenagers, 2 teenage girls stuck at home. That was fun. I think I was losing my mind, and to stay sane, I started taking these walks in my neighborhood, long walks, going all different routes and looking for any signs of positivity, literally signs that people would put in their windows, hang in there, it's going to be okay, we're in this together. It was so uplifting in that sense, in such a dark time. I think especially for, teenagers and people in their young 20s and just sort of launching, it was tough. But and then one day I discovered the artist who I made the film about, the subject.
Yes. So
Yeah.
for those who haven't seen it yet, without giving it away, give us a little description about your movie, Quinn.
Well, it's
Powers.
Powers. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
called Powers. And it's about this an artist. She's a woman in her 60s. She creates repurposed junk art, and hangs them high up in the telephone poles in our neighborhood in Mar Vista, California, and in Los Angeles, really, but it's this very specific pocket near Venice. And she puts these messages of positivity on them. So there'll be these characters, and they say things like be, love, laugh off, and big hugs. She hangs them high in the telephone poles on this one street, and she dresses up disguised as a male utility worker, just to spread joy anonymously in our community. And when I met her, I was like, what is your story? Who are you? And for about 1.5 years, I followed her around with my iPhone while the world paused. And
So that's just I'm smiling because I'm remembering the movie. I'm remembering the movie. And so she let me ask you this, because I don't remember, because I watched this a while back.
yeah.
So how did you actually run into her on the street, or did you go, I've got to find this person?
Well, so I was taking these walks, right? And I started seeing these sculptures. I had no idea who made them. That was sort of part of it in this journey to stay sane. I saw the sculptures, no idea who made them. Went home and researched because they were so unique and so uplifting and beautiful. Couldn't find anything about it, Yvonne. It was like there was, except that other people had the same question. It was a complete mystery. And then one day I happened to walk in front of this house that had a sculpture similar to the ones in the poles in the front yard, and she happened to walk out at that moment. And she looked like this mad scientist. She had the welding goggles around her head, around her neck, and a vest, and she had taking out the trash. It was so kismet. And I said, "Excuse me, are you the artist who also makes the sculptures and the telephone poles?" And she said, "Why, yes, but don't tell anybody." That started the journey of a year and a half of following her. And then this beautiful backstory started coming out. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I thought I was going to give her a 5-minute segment because this is what I do, right? I make films. So here's a gift to you. You're such a cool person. And then as we started getting in and she started opening up more, and you see what drives this desire to spread joy in the world, that's what made me go, wow, this is a film. And I shot it completely on my iPhone. Yes, it's possible. Especially in daylight, lots of good light. Yeah,
I was gonna ask you about that.
Yeah.
It didn't pass by me at all. Yes. So tell us about that process.
Yeah.
And this is so encouraging, right? For the up and coming filmmaker. And that's part of the reason I love to do these discussions. I have a podcast called Real Moments with Badass Women in Film and Entertainment, of which you two are part, and we're going to add it to that. And one of the things I usually ask is, what advice would you give? And I'm going to ask you guys this, so just kind of keep it in the back of your mind, but what advice would you give to somebody who's up and coming, who wants to follow in your footsteps? And I guess that's part of the question that I'm going to ask you, Paige, just in terms of the ability to do this on an iPhone.
Yeah. Well, listen, the beauty is, especially in documentary, it gives you access that you wouldn't get because it's so intimate. You're just there, with your phone. So how are you doing today? And people are so used to these that it really helped this subject who was hiding really open up, and it built. But I have to say, it is very doable. It is one of the things I tell people. Just my advice is, am I allowed to curse?
Yeah, I don't mind, as long as Catherine's cat doesn't mind. You good?
Make shit. Just go out and make shit, because these are powerful. These have 4K. They shoot at 24 frames per second, and you just have to know the settings. You have to get a mic attachment, which plugs right into here, and you can make beautiful, beautiful films. It's about storytelling, right? Mm-hmm. So that's my advice to people. You just go out, you just keep practicing your craft, and then you do another one and another one, and then you get out and you network. And I have to say, this film has been at 24 festivals, and I'm so happy to be part of your festival with WIFF. And also it won 9 awards from Oscar qualifiers. So I was like, wow, you can do it. You can do it.
Yeah.
And the message of the film kind of coincides because Lori didn't start becoming an artist. The subject, Lori Powers, is her name, thus Powers. She didn't become an artist till her 50s. So it's never too late. If you have passion and you just perseverance, you can do it.
That's just amazing words. Thank you for that. I know that everybody who's watching this is going to totally feel what you're saying, and I do. Just in terms of, we're all getting older every day, right?
Thank God.
Yeah, which is a good thing, because it means that otherwise we're not here. Just the fact that we can think that, what, I want to start something, or I want to do something different. Yesterday, I was speaking with one of the filmmakers. She did a documentary about a dance ballerina who actually had defected from Russia, and she opened up a dance school in Boston. And the filmmaker said, like, after she had finished, doing the filming and she just started taking some ballet lessons,
Amazing.
That's so wonderful. She got
Yeah.
inspired, and
Yeah.
she said she couldn't do it as a little girl in Ukraine, and now she can. And so she's a professor at the university, and
Great.
so I think it's just great. I was just so encouraged by
Never
her.
too late. Never
Yeah,
too late. Lori was never an artist. She was in the corporate world for 30 years
yeah.
and she's a welder. She learned in her 50s how to create
Mhm.
art and weld, and then the confidence builds, then the
Yes.
1,000 hours come in.
Yes. And I know that one of the things that you mentioned in terms of Paige, you mentioned storytelling, and I know Kat as a writer, um, and certainly telling an amazing story with Sand Mama. Tell me what your thoughts are in terms of you know uh, anybody that might be interested in working in this medium, or any medium where the story is a strong part of it.
Yeah, I feel well, first of all, I love this hearing about this iPhone film and doing so well. And I was just looking at your webpage, and these festivals are incredible. And I think it is a really good point that like I think we get ideas about where we'll be able to go with these things, and they're just wrong, right? Like we should feel liberated to really go for it. Which iPhone did you use, by the way?
I have at that time an 11 Pro.
Do
3 lenses.
it.
Lenses are beautiful. You
It's
just need light. You just need light. Yeah.
It's incredible. And actually, so San Mama is set on a beach, and also we had no like whatever light, it was all
Right.
natural light, and we had I did we were film students at the time. This was a couple of years ago before the pandemic. So we had access to equipment through that, but it was a very small crew. And it was all women except for the PA. Wonderful. It was all, and we were, it was a real, they call it a skelly crew, like a skeleton crew. We did not have a lot of people, and it was like, we were like battling nature and the waves, and the weather was not what we expected, and all those things. And when I look at it now, what I would say, I guess, to get back to your question, is just like, it's all about finding the right collaborators and like realizing you're part of a team. And I think that's one of the things that's wonderful. Not that men are not good collaborators, but like working with women, it really, even though I was the director, it was very flat in terms of like, everyone's idea was valid, and if you had a good idea, we took it. A lot of discussion and collaboration, and like my film looks incredible because I had an incredible DP.
Mm-hmm.
Nada. And I asked her Stepjanovic. I think I'm still not saying it exactly right, but she was incredible, and so it looks amazing. And my producer, Elise Shin, who did so much work to make this like outdoor shoot happen. And if you get the right people, you do not need to have $20 million, and you do not need to have 500 people. You just need to have people that are willing to bring their best ideas, and then you have to recognize them, right? And it's funny to give advice to up and coming people, because I consider myself definitively up and coming as well. It's my first film, but it is true what you said, Paige, right? Like a lot of people, and I think that this is a big shift for a lot of writers too. It's like at this moment, having something that people can watch and something that's produced, I think is what I would tell. Like, I have plenty of writing samples too, and I'm proud of them. And there's different ways that are part of what I'm trying to do, but something that you write, something that you can make yourself that will really showcase your voice and what you want to say. And it can be something that is done on a very low budget. I don't know if I would be brave enough to do it on an iPhone, but
I know, that's really cool. That's amazing. And the thing about it is, I think it's about the word I'm going to use, and I hope it doesn't sound too cliche, but these limiting beliefs that we have, right? We don't have the right equipment, we don't have the right people, we don't have this, we don't have that, and so we create this story before we've even attempted to move forward. We create a story of all of the reasons why not, instead of looking possibly of well, how can we do this? And I love what you said in terms of perhaps because in many ways, because it is a iPhone, we're all familiar with it. We're all familiar. Everybody's got one in their pocket. And so it probably, was just not as obtrusive or as scary maybe because, you don't got this big thing on your shoulder and, tell me how you feel, so maybe I can see that making people definitely open up a little bit more.
Yeah, and it's also just me, right? I always say it's an all-female crew of one, because if the sound woman is there, if the camera woman is there, it feels like a lot of people. Notice how I did that, right? It's good.
Yes, I noticed. Yeah, the
let's do it.
woman. Yeah.
But it's a different kind of vibe. And there's so many reasons, like you were saying, Catherine, not to make a film. There's so many things that can stop you. If you get too far ahead of yourself, a what if with a result. So just it's right in front of you, and it is courage, I think, but it's also like you have this thing inside you that you need to express, and there's no way around it. Like, it's bigger than we are. And I love what you said too, Catherine, about the brand, like who you are, your voice, because we need all of our voices. We need women's voices. We need people of color. We need people with different abilities. We need their stories. My daughters need their stories, to really see our world for what it is. It's colorful and it's beautiful and it's, can be tragic, but this is the life, this is the experience,
Thank you for saying that. That's such a beautiful thing to say. I think, one of the reasons that we felt that it was important to do the festival was for that same reason that, we talk about women's visions, women's voices, but it's also about, the fact that there are, we are diverse, every single person, every single one of us, and all of these stories could just do so much, right? And if we're saying that we're only going to receive information from one perspective, oh my gosh, we're missing so much. We're missing so much beauty. We're missing so many different ways of looking at the world. Like, I would never want to be limited to one person's viewpoint.
I feel like in some ways, that's what, I can speak for myself. That's what I grew up with. And I thought, you didn't realize it, right? But you thought that it's James Bond, and they were so incredibly sexist. When you watch them now, you're like, how did I allow myself to take this in, and how did it impact me and form me? And I thought directors looked like Steven Spielberg. They had baseball caps, they were middle-aged men, and they had, beards. And that's to me what I thought a director looks like. Well, no more, ladies.
No more. As you said that, one time I interviewed a director by the name of Ama Asante, and she is out of London. She did the movie Belle and a number of other great films. Yeah, amazing director. But she was telling me her story that she started off as an actor, working for the BBC, and then she really felt her talent was in writing much more so than acting. And so she wrote her screenplay. She wrote her first screenplay, and she kept looking around for a director, She went to the British Film Institute and started asking them for a director, and they started looking, and then they said to her, well, why don't you just direct it yourself? And she was like, me? No, like it had never occurred to her. And she had grown up in the television and film industry because she was working for the BBC. As she said, she had never seen a woman, let alone a woman of color, in the capacity of a director. So it never occurred to her. There were no role models. There were no people that looked, even her gender, let alone her color, that were doing it. And so what they ended up doing was saying to her, listen, this is a great script. We think you should just go ahead, and we'll give you some instruction. I think the BFI had some sort of program. They said, just go through the program and do this yourself. And here she was. Then she was telling me that when she did the release of Belle in London, that Prince showed up and did this. Can you imagine the performer? He shows up and does this impromptu concert at the event. So she went from not thinking that she could do this to having this huge debut, internationally released film. If I remember correctly, it was through Lionsgate Films, and having Prince show up, so
amazing.
amazing, right? When I heard that story. So I think you're absolutely right, Paige. I'm sure that we were all impacted by, all of those movies, right? And how the female, persona, right, was articulated through different eyes, and through male eyes, essentially. And so we don't know how that impacted us, but I'm sure it impacted us greatly, right? And what the way we're supposed to look, or the way we're supposed to act, or the way, or whether we're the damsel in distress, whatever it might be. So I think it's really, really important what we're doing here. I think the film festival is important. It's important that you guys continue. I know with Powers, I know that the woman, I don't want to give away too much, but I know she was lesbian, right? She's
She's a
gay,
lesbian.
and so just to get like even that story out, and how her story impacted what she's doing, in terms of what you said, in terms of giving levity to the world, right? So yeah, and had you not been walking and being a filmmaker and walking down and saying, we never would have learned about her. So
And by the way, she was hiding not only as the artist, but also did not want to be. She said, one of the first things she said when we started shooting was, I don't want this to be about me being gay. And I said, well, it's not about you being gay. It's about you as an artist. I didn't even know you were gay, nor do I care, but it's beautiful. And one thing led to another. After about a year, she started realizing that it was not only important for her to come out as the artist, but also to come out for who she was, who she is. And you see how this trauma in her past really informed her present and her ability to turn it around. She turned darkness into light. And part of that is what she went through as a gay woman, with her own father, her own family. So,
yeah, absolutely. And I didn't think that was in any way it was not the way that the film was presented. It wasn't presented like, this is a quote unquote, whatever that should mean, but this wasn't like a gay film, right? It wasn't about her being,
it's actually,
it just so happens to be gay. It wasn't
gay, and yes, and this is part of what created this beautiful whole person. And they play at several gay film festivals, LGBTQ film festivals, and it did really well. And I think because it wasn't just about a gay person, but it was about a person and their journey and their struggle, and people just want to be seen for who they are, right? Isn't that what we want?
Yes, and that's what this is all about, right? So we've been on for well over 30 minutes, and I think I could probably go on for another 30 minutes. But I want to wrap it up and just ask the two of you what you have coming up, and how can us as filmmakers, us as the film festival, and us as the people who are watching this support you, where we can find you, how we can continue to support your work. So we'll start with Kat.
That's an amazing question. Thank you so much for asking. And I also want to say thank you so much for letting me be a part of your festival.
Thank you.
To everything the two of you were just saying. What a beautiful space you've created for women of all identities. It's amazing. It's like really.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm this is my passion, and it's because of you guys, right? So thank you.
Oh no, that's amazing. So I mean, I'm writing TV pilots and features, and I have my script writing simultaneously, which you can hear and see more about I'm at Catalonius, CATALONIUS on Instagram and Twitter. You want to follow those stories. But filmmaking wise, I am working on a short to shoot here in Portugal, which is just visually really incredible. And it's both a rom-com and a story about a girl and her grandmother, but it's really about language, which I'm like obsessed with right now because I'm in my 40s learning Portuguese, and I'm obsessed with the differences in languages and what they mean for culture and how we communicate and how we can break through. And I think pages before you joined, but we were talking about just emotion. I'm obsessed with like also feelings, which I am at a level where I cannot speak about feelings where I am in this language. And so anyways, it's about kind of learning to feel your feelings and communicate emotionally when two people don't speak the same language.
Mm.
So it's called Lintai, which means mother tongue in Portuguese.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
I mean, you could, I'll send it to you when I finish
Okay.
it.
Yes, absolutely.
I love that. So many feelings, so little time.
Mhm.
Uh, so your viewers can follow me on Instagram at Paige Morrow Kimball. And also I have a website, also pagemorrowkimball.com. The next thing for me, I have a film coming out for Sesame Street. I work for Sesame Street quite a bit these days, and they actually commissioned an original film about the artist. So that'll be coming out on HBO in May. It's a short, it's a 2-minute film that rolls into their bigger 30-minute show. And I'm working on a couple of more artist films. I don't think I'm done yet telling the stories of these passionate, incredibly gifted people. So I have another one, and I'm going to shoot it on an iPhone. I'm just going to jump in, and it's if power is joy themed, that's love. That's about love. And I don't do dark. I'm not cool enough. I only do joy and uplift. So please follow me to see what else we're doing.
Okay, we'll do. And what I'll do on the YouTube pages, we'll put all of the links into you guys so that we can they can continue to follow you. We'll also put the trailer in, and I'm just going to encourage everybody to go ahead and get your pass today, especially if you watch this today, because today we're doing a special. It's a Sunday super special or Super Sunday special. So go ahead and you can get your passes today for half price. We've got tickets if you're in the New York City area and you want to watch some films. Today's the best day to probably get it because we've never done it. We've never done a special like this, but it was Sunday and we thought we're partway through the festival. Let's just go big. So and give everybody the opportunity to get a ticket or to get a pass. So just go to WIFF TV. That's probably the best place. WIFFTV.com. The passes are on there. All of the films are loaded up. And you'll get a chance to see San Mama and Powers and just, fall in love with these two ladies as I have and, act and watch, 38 other amazing films from women around the world. So it's all great. And, when we started off, we talked about, being an in-person festival, which we've done. This is our first time doing this hybrid way. And in some ways I miss in person, but in some ways this is so amazing too, right? Because we can now be talking to Kat in Lisbon and Pager in LA, and I'm here in New York, and we're able to see, and the people who normally wouldn't be able to fly into New York can also see your great work. So the films are available until the end of the month, March 31st. So please, everybody, come on out. If you can't come in person, log in, get your 50% off, and support women, because this is what this is about. It's us supporting each other. So, if you can't do the past, you can take a look for Kat and Paige's film and just rent that film if that helps. So by all means, again, thank you both for being part of the Women's Film Festival this year. We'll continue to support you. If there's anything we can do for you, let us know, because we're here. You're part of the family now. It's just we got you. We got you. We're not letting you go. And we'll continue to watch you as you grow and all of the wonderful things you do. Just keep emailing me and I'll send it out to our list so that everybody knows.
And Yvonne, right back at you if there's anything I can do to support what you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you both. Okay, take care. Happy Sunday, everybody.